everyone, Sandy here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This project is a design team project for Country Craft Creations using their exclusive paper collection called Bountiful Blessings. I created a box mini album for Thanksgiving, and it has a shaker frame here with the acetate on the front, so that's why it's kind of shiny there, but you can see all the sparkly bits in there. It opens up like this, and I will be doing a walkthrough, show you everything at the end of the tutorial. So the tutorial is coming up next after the list of supplies that I used. I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Click that bell so you'll be notified of my next project, and also like so that it generates more searches for other people who may not have seen my channel yet. So anyway, let's get started on the tutorial on making this boxed mini album for Thanksgiving. Here are some of the supplies that I may be using on this project. For sure, of course, I'm using the Bountiful Blessings in the 12x12, the exclusive paper collection by Country Craft Creations. Some of the decorative items we will see, but I did purchase these from Country Craft Creations to use possibly on this fall project or Thanksgiving box album. So I have here the Prima flowers. There are Desert, Golden Desert by Prima. I thought it had little fall colors, and some of these are the lighter beige. If I want to, I could probably color with my Copics. So I pulled these, I ordered these. I thought that these might work. I like the size of them. Of course, I also ordered from Country Craft Creations the designer dies by Echo Park. These are fall. This is a leaves die set. There's 3 leaves and an acorn to punch out. So I thought those might be fun to have. And I'm thinking of doing a shaker, either fall leaf shakers or a frame shaker on the front of the box on the top. So I did pick up these Sparklets Embellishments by Buttons Galore and More from Country Craft Creations. These are called Fall Foliage, so I have those. And then also this ribbon, I'm pretty 100% positive I'll be using this on there because I really like how it ties. This is a really nice open weave type with the edges that are don't fray out. So I bought this from Country Craft Creations as well because I think it goes really well with the collection. Also, I may make some tags for my book out of this album, Tags and Accents by Heartfelt Creations, that I also ordered from Country Craft Creations. So you might want to look for those on their website. And of course, definitely using art glitter glue. There's been a bit of a shortage on this, so check the site and see if any's come in. I stocked up, hopefully have enough for my winter crafting. But anyway, grab you some art glitter glue, the designer dries clear adhesive. Score tape, this is optional. I like to use it to make it easier to wrap my album covers and such. So I do use some score tape, not for the whole thing. This is totally optional if you want to get some of that. Also, you're going to want probably some score tape sheets. I don't have any here to show you, but I definitely use score tape sheets, so you'll want some of that as well. You're going to need 2 sheets of the 12x12 heavyweight chipboard for your project. You're going to need, I'm using the burgundy artisan cardstock, whatever color you like. If you look, you can see there's different colors that would work with this, including black. I just kind of like the red. I think the dark gray or a gray if they have it, or even a cream colored would work great. So I'm going to use, I'm using burgundy. I will have in the cutting list how many sheets I actually end up using. I'm also going to use this gold shimmer artisan cardstock. I think for photo mats and tags, I really think it's really pretty. So I think that it will work really nice with that. So I have pulled out about 3 sheets of that. So I might need more or less, and I will share that. Next is the paper collection. As I said, this is exclusive to Country Craft Creations. It's a really beautiful fall Thanksgiving type paper. You can see all the pretty designs and elements here. So I'm just going to kind of fan it out. You get 2 each of the cut apart tags. You get 2 each of these cut aparts that can be tucked into your pockets or used as elements. And then, of course, you get 3 sheets of each pattern paper in this collection. So we have the turkeys, and each side has the back side that's really a great pattern for your album. I'm thinking this may be my outside of my box cover. So take a look real quick at these. I'm not going to go over them in detail. There's your Thanksgiving show page, your main page that you might want for your cover or something. This, I love the cornucopia with the sunflowers. And as you see, the pretty green, I like that one too. That would be good on the cover. We've got the turkey and the pie, pumpkin pie. So if you haven't checked this out, do so. The dishes and the turkey and that gorgeous. Go to Country Craft Creations. I'll put the direct link to the collection in my description box below so that you can order you a set. So that is the last sheet design there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on this tutorial, this project tutorial of making a 6x6 box album. For our box, which is also our cover of our album, I've cut my chipboard pieces and my cardstock pieces. So for the lid part, we need 1 piece of heavyweight chipboard that is 6 1/8 by 6 1/8. We need 4 pieces that are 1 1/2 by 6 1/8. We need 1 piece of cardstock that is 8 1/8 by 8 1/8, and then we need 4 that are 3 1/2 by 8 1/8. For the box base, for the bottom, we need 1 piece that's 6 by 6, 4 pieces that are 2 1/2 by 6, 1 piece that is 8 by 8 of cardstock, 4 pieces of cardstock that are 4 1/2 by 8. So let's work on the base first. I'll put the lid pieces away. So we're going to do this similar to an album wrap, the lay flat album wrap by Country Craft Creations by Tammy of Country Craft Creations. So we're going to do it similar to that. Now, if you want to use score tape sheets on this, you can. I am going to use, I believe, just glue and burnish really well. So I want my 1-inch spacer guides. These you can order from Country Craft Creations. I put my 8 by 8 down since I'm working on the base. And my spacers like this, and I'm going to be gluing this piece right here so that it's centered, and we'll have a 1-inch border all the way around. Put the glue on the back of my chipboard side. And we're going to lay this down, butt it up, right up to the spacers, and then I'm going to burnish it and move these out of the way and flip it over so that I can burnish really well on this cardstock side. So if you're using the glue, you really want to burnish and get the glue spread out nice and flat. Okay, just like that. Of course, this is going to be covered, and I've got glue right there. This is going to be covered by patterned paper, but I want to get that attached really well. Instead of using my 1 1/2 inch spacer, I'm just going to use 1 inch on all edges of these pieces. These are going to be the sides, so I'm going to do all 4 of these the same way. And centered so they have a 1-inch space all the way around. And repeat that for all 4 pieces of cardstock. The cardstock again is 4.5 by 8. Now the bottom of our box, the sides are going to all be drop down. So we're not going to have any that are attached together. We want them to be able to drop down so that we can get to our album pages. Okay, I'm going to set these aside. Go ahead and burnish this one, last one. Okay, and then we're ready to start wrapping. Let's take the biggest piece first. And I am going to miter about 1/16 of an inch from the tip of my chipboard on each corner. And stand it up and get the fold. Now I like to attach these with glue, but then I also like to take just a bit of score tape and put a piece in the center of each cardstock flap. This is to help hold it down while I let the glue grab and burnish all 4 sides. So I'm going to do 2 opposite sides first. Go ahead and peel your tape backing off. I'm going to take glue. I'm going to run a line of glue right along the chipboard onto the cardstock, and then glue on the rest of my flap except for where the score tape is. So I'm just going to go around the score tape, pull this over, let the score tape grab, and then burnish. And wipe off any excess glue that might come out at the corners. Do the opposite side the exact same way. Glue around the score tape, and of course the glue along the edge of the chipboard. Bring it over, pull it in, burnish. A lot of glue came out on that corner, so wipe that off. And then I burnish the edges. Now then, on these two, you're going to see, you can see where that glue is, but you see a little bit of this piece of paper for this flap is overextended. And if you fold it down, it might poke out and be a sharp point. You don't want that. So you're going to take your bone folder and fold that piece in and down and burnish it. And then you're going to check it before you actually attach it down to make sure your corners are nice and neat. Now it looks good, so we'll put the glue in along the fold line and then on the flap around our score tape. Right there. Okay, fold that over and burnish. Okay, like that glue. Try to stay away from the edge of it with so much glue this time. So that looks nice and neat right there, that corner. It's just like wrapping for an album cover. Now we'll do the other side. We're going to push this in. I'm going to check it. Okay, and then my glue. Okay, that looks good. So that is the bottom of our box. So now we're ready to work on our sides, which remember they're going to flop down so they are not going to be attached on the ends. So with that in mind, I know that I need to wrap both ends because that's going to show, and one top edge. So I'm going to fold these over, and on each one I'm going to wrap the short ends first. And I'm going to fold this also. My fold line. Now then, I'm going to treat this like I do my cover, and I'm going to miter cut from the tip on both sides. The same side of this, just on one side though. So I'll miter cut that and this one. I'm going to fold it over. This one may need just a little bit more, but you want to leave about a 1/16 of an inch of paper showing. So this one's going to fold like that. I'm going to take that score tape and I'm going to put a piece of score tape right in the center to help me again. I'll hold it down. I'm going to do these on the same on all four. I'm only going to show you one, and then I will do the others off camera. So you're going to fold this over, so pull your tape backing off. Apply your glue along the fold, and then on the flap around the score tape. Fold it over, burnish, wipe off your excess glue. Okay, then here in the corners, we're going to burnish and press that down. We're going to check it to make sure we have a nice corner edge. A little score tape on each one of these. And then we're going to put our glue. Let's pull the tape backing off. We're going to put our glue again along that edge, bring it on down, do the flaps, fold it over. Now you're going to notice this is going to fold over right here. And when you burnish that area, make sure you burnish right up against, really tight against that chipboard piece. Right in there. You want a clear, defined drop off right there. Burnish the rest of this. Wipe off your glue. Check my corner. And I'm going to do the other side the same way. So a line of glue on the flap. And to make this look nice, we really make sure that we are burnishing and getting this nice and flat where we have a drop off right there. You want to clearly see that. It's almost making this as flat as this cardstock is. Right there. Burnish and the edges. So that's the side. Then I'm going to fold this one down and burnish it. This is an attachment flap. Okay. I'm going to fold it both ways to train this cardstock. This is the artisan. So you can do that with artisan and make sure that it's all going to be laying the way that we want it. And then I'm going to burnish it right here and get me a good indentation here on this side. So you can see the indentation right there. Very clear indentation here on this side. So do the other three the exact same way. I have all my sections wrapped for the base, the bottom part of the album box cover. And again, I'm going to show you that these side pieces, all four of them, are wrapped on just the two short sides and across one end. We have a flap here, similar to making an album cover. And so I've really burnished here on the inside so you can see the indentation really, really well where the bottom part is going to go. So that's a ridge there from that. Now, normally when I'm making an album, I don't miter because I don't like any of this to show on my album. But on this base here, all four, they're going to cross each other. So I'm thinking it will be better because see, this is how it's going to come together. This is going to be the outside once we're done, this finished part. So I'm thinking I am going to miter cut these corners here, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not cutting from the fold. So I'm just doing, it's kind of like when you do a pocket, right? Just make sure we get an angle so that there's no bulk when these four intersect. If that makes any sense to you, I hope so. So I'm just going to cut. I'm putting my scissors at the edge of the chipboard and just cutting at an angle. I may have to trim a little more off as I assemble this. We will see. So here, so I don't want to cut away any of this at this point where the fold is. So that's why I'm making sure I'm putting the base of my scissor there. So just go ahead and miter cut your flap, the two corners, two sides of your flap. Okay, so now we're going to lay these out. Of course, they're all the same size, so it doesn't matter. Flapped towards the inside. And we're going to let's work on two sides first. Now, this is the same as an album. If this was an album cover, this is how it would go together. Okay? So I'm going to take glue. And I want to make sure that I stay away from my fold section about an 1/8 of an inch or so. And I'm just making a line of glue. And then on the whole flap. On the finished side. Okay, like this. And I'm going to take this base piece and I'm going to bring it in and make sure that it stays flush with the ridge of my side flat piece. So I'm going to burnish that. Make sure it's even here and here. And then we're going to flip it over and burnish, and then wipe off any glue you might have oozing out. A little bit right there, and burnish. Now I'm going to check. Well, no, not yet. These go on first. Never mind. Flip it back over. And this opposite one, we're going to do the same thing. We want the glue line about 1/8 of an inch from the fold. Got a little close there on that one side end. That should be okay. Let's fit this on same way. You want the edge of your base here right into the chipboard of the flap. Line it up at the top and the bottom. Let's burnish it. Make it start sticking. Flip it over and burnish again. Wipe off any glue. Now then, this is where we're going to check, make sure our mitering. We might need a little more miter here. I'm just going to trim it in, not from the fold, but this way. Okay, and the other side, I'm going to check it. Okay, so these go on the same way. Finish side up. Take your glue. Stay about 1/8 of an inch from the fold. Fit this on. Now make sure you're paying attention. Stay right up against the chipboard, the two chipboards together, and make your points meet on each corner here. And burnish that. I'm going to go ahead and do this one before I flip it over. Now, of course, the inside of your box is going to be unfinished, and we'll be adding pattern paper, so don't worry about that right now. Make sure they're all butted up good. Okay, now carefully flip it over. Wipe off that glue. Burnish, and the miters look really good there in the corners. And that's our box. This is the inside, so she's going to lift up like this. So I'm just going to let it dry. These end ones should be dry, but see how it comes up, and it's going to lay down nice and flat. So I have not decided yet if I'm going to put support pieces in here. I'm pretty sure I will right here, just like I do on an album, but for now I'm going to let this dry. And I did decide to put support pieces, so I cut 4 each that are 2 inches wide by just barely a 1/16 under the 6 inch. So it's a 6 inch, just scoot it back just a little bit and cut it just a tiny bit shorter than 6. Then I cut score tape sheets to fit, because you want to use score tape sheets on your support pieces on the inside where there's going to be a folding. You don't want glue popping up or bubbling. Then I did decide that because they're going to overlap, we need to miter our corners. So I took one. I got me a guide here. Let me look to make sure I'm cutting it right. Okay, and so I just lay it here on the corners and cut each corner to make them to match fairly well. Okay, it's kind of like with the pocket area. I didn't want a lot of overlapping, you know, bulk there in the corners. So you do need to make sure, because you've got the miter here, that you're not putting it in the wrong place. So what you want to cover your fold here with this support piece. So I'm just going to take the backing off of one, and I'll probably do opposite sides first. There we go. Just peel that off. And I'm going to look at it, and if I have any tape sticking over, I'm just going to take my finger and fold it under, because I don't want any tape showing where it's not supposed to be. Okay, so I want this, the tip of my miter pretty much over that fold. So I want, like, this is 2 inches. I want 1 inch on the flap and 1 inch on the base here. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. This is just to strengthen that fold and keep it from, you know, tearing possibly. With this artisan cardstock, this gives us the extra strength in there that we might need. So slide this over so that it's got the point of your need to flip it up a little bit, a little too close on one side. There we go. And turn it so I can see it. There we go. Burnish it down, and we'll come along and we'll burnish all the folds. Now I'm going to match these up and hope I cut them out pretty well. Okay, let's pull that one off. Okay, one more. Okay, and now we're going to burnish in the fold. So I just raise this up a little bit with the rounded part of my bone folder. You want to just burnish in that fold. It's going to press that score tape down in there, give it more strength. It's not going to crack on the outside because we've got this separation here. Okay, so just turn it and fold and gently burnish on all four. These are the bottom of our box, and this is where it's going to like flop down once we have our album pages in. So these will come together to form a box for the sides, but they will not be attached together, so that when you take the lid off, they're going to flop down and you'll be able to flip through your album. Now I've seen these made with, you know, chipboard, lightweight chipboard, just the cardstock. There's a lot of different ways to make these box albums. I've seen them by different designers. They're pretty popular. They're just very unique, and everyone kind of really likes that. So what this is going to do is we're going to cover this, all the insides. But once we get this pulled up, it's going to all look like a box. So just keep working that and bending it. And it did flop down better without the support in there, but I was afraid that would be too much strain eventually on it if there's a lot of opening. So there's the box base, and we're going to set this aside and start working on the lid of our album. And one of these will become where the pages attach here on the left side of your box. Okay, so for the lid, this is going to be a fixed lid so that it lifts up, but one flap will be attached to the base of your box album. So I debated about having 4 pieces of cardstock. I thought, well, we could do the attachment piece with just cardstock, but then I'm thinking, no, that's not going to look like, because I want it to look like a box that you would lift off the whole thing, but actually only one is attached. So with that in mind, I'm going to have you cut, and I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger because I think it would be easier to fit on that way. That's my thinking. So this piece here, your lid piece, is an 1/8. It's not much, just an 1/8 of an inch bigger than the base. So the base was 6 by 6. So you want to cut this piece of cardstock, one piece for the top of the lid, 6 1/8 by 6 1/8, which means we want 4 pieces, and these are going to be shorter in height. We want 4 1.5 inch by 6 1/8. And then to wrap these pieces, we're going to do similar wrapping. We want the cardstock piece here to be 8 1/8, because we need an inch around each side. So 8 1/8 on this one piece, and these 4 pieces here, we want 3 1/2 by 8 1/8. And so we're going to get these ready to attach to the chipboard pieces and wrap. To wrap our lid top piece, we again need our scoreboard for placement, our placement guides from Country Craft Creations. These are 1 inch by 12. And then we need our 1 chipboard piece here. So we're going to use glue, or IM. You can use score tape if you prefer to. Some people can see the glue lines in their paper. I don't really have a problem with it in the cardstock. I don't think, I might see a little bit, but then I cover it with pattern paper and I'm good to go. So I'm just going to turn it over and burnish it with my hands. Now, if you use your hands to burnish, the glue will spread out. It warms it up. And then, of course, you can use your bone folder and then set it aside and let that dry. Now, our 4 pieces, or smaller pieces for the sides, we're going to do the same thing. Yeah, I had to think a minute. We're going to place these. We're going to use 1 inch. We're going to have the 1 inch flaps again because these are so narrow. We're not going to do the normal 1 1/2 that you do on a cover. So I get the glue on this, and I'm going to go ahead and get these all placed on the same. So when you get these on, you're going to have 1 inch all the way around. Okay. Okay, so I put up my scoreboard and my spacer guides, and we have all these glued onto the cardstock ready to wrap. I'm going to do the base or the lid first. Yeah, I think that's going to work the best. So I am going to miter my corners real quick. I'm thinking about how to assemble and wrap the sides of this lid, because I want to make sure that I do it where we can put it all together the way it needs to be done. So I'm having to think some on that. So we'll fold these up. And then I'm going to take a bit of score tape and put that just a bit here in the center to help hold it down while I wrap with glue. Take the tape backings off. Do two sides opposite each other first. A line of glue on the cardstock right up against the chipboard, and then glue on your flap all the way around your score tape. Bring that over, press it down, and burnish. Wipe up any glue that comes out when you do the burnishing here on the end. Okay, opposite side now. Same thing. Pull that over. Okay, so the other side, remember we've got to fold in and burnish down that excess from the one we just attached that kind of sticks over. And it does that on all four corners, so you want to make sure. And then I kind of like to pull it over and see if I've got enough done, or if I need to trim. This one I think I'm going to trim just a little more. And that's going to pull over nicely. So if I got a little piece of paper there sticking out that I don't like. Okay, and that one's good. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one right quick, and then I will miter, not miter, but burnish in those corners on the other piece also. Okay, other side. Remember to burnish in those excess there on that corner edge. Let's check it. I know this one's going to need a little bit trimmed. Okay, the glue on the edge of the chipboard here on the cardstock, all the way around your score tape on the flap. Pull it over and burnish. Okay, so that's going to be our lid piece. Okay, so now I need to look at these and study this and make sure I'm telling you correctly on how to fold and get these ready to attach this. Okay, so I think I figured it out, hopefully. We've got two that we're going to make the same, and we're only going to wrap one long edge here at the top. And 2 side ones will be attached flaps, and this is going to be attached to the lid flap. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my score tape on this one long flap here. More tape to help me hold it down. And then I'm going to pull that tape backing off. Take my glue and glue right in here along the fold and all the way down the length of this, because it's going to fold over here at the top. And this is where I'm going to burnish here on the edge and get it really flat again. Now I may end up having to miter that, but right now I want to make sure it's burnished really flush with that chipboard right there. So you want to see that groove. Okay, and we're going to do the same one. What I did is, to help me know, is I wrote notes. Wrap, attached to lid, attach flap, so that I would know. And then I'll show you on the other ones what it is. So the wrap one is going to fold over. I'm going to put my glue in. Whoops, I need some score tape because I do like having that to hold it down. Put your glue on. So this lid, because it's going to be fixed lid, it's going to be attached to the side. It's a little different than doing like an album wrap, but I want the same look. So I'm hoping that this will work. So we burnish this down, and then we also burnish right here along the chipboard. Get that ridge on both sides. Okay, so there's those two like that. Now the others, one's going to be attached to the spine part of the box, and the other one's going to be finished. So we're going to put wrap on each side because we want the sides finished, and we want to wrap the top and leave one open at the bottom. So I'm going to fold this up and get my, whoops, got glue all over my bone folder. Clean that off. Burnish that. And then we fold these sides too. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to miter those like we do for a pocket, or just like we did for the cover. I mean, for a pocket or on the other box piece. So I'm going to miter about 1/16 of an inch from the tip, just on one side. That one's a little closer, I did. And this is going to fold over, then these are going to fold over so that we have a nice mitered corner. So take my tape, put a bit of tape just on the long side. I don't think I need it on the short sides. Okay, and pull that backing up. We're going to do the long side first. Glue along the chipboard on the flap. Bring it over nice and tight. Burnish. Wipe off the glue if you need to. Now this is just like on that other one where we have to wrap that inside. I did cut that one a little bit shorter than I wanted, but it will pull over enough. You check this other one, I got to miter it in. So be careful cutting so you don't cut too short. Wrap it over And make sure you burnish here where we get a nice ridge here. So see, I've got a little bit of chipboard showing, but I think it'll be okay when I kind of move it in a little bit with my fingernail. And I put some pattern paper on that. So let me glue this other side. Oops, too much glue there. I'm going to have to wipe that off for sure. Okay, and burnish that down. Okay, and the other one's going to be done the same way. So we miter the one that is not going to attach to the lid piece. So got that one mitered. Let's get our score tape on this one long side. And I'll go over these pieces again with you so you'll see what's been wrapped and what is not yet. So glue along the edge here and on the flap. Bring this one over. Burnish it down. What this is the finished edge that's going to be shown on the box. Burnish down and your excess here. This right here's got a little piece of paper showing. There we go. And I'm going to check these. That one's good. Okay. Now we need glue. And remember where it comes over off of here to burnish this right in here to get that groove. And burnish. Okay, so we have two pieces that are got both ends wrapped and have a flap sticking out. We have two pieces that have the ends unwrapped, just the top wrapped. So we have flaps on the side and flap on the bottom. So now we need to make sure that these are going to bend good. So I'm folding these back and forth, and I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to burnish on the finished side right along the chipboard to get me that groove that I need to put this solid lid piece on. So I'm going to do that on all of these. Fold it over, fold it back. Just work it really well and then burnish it so that we get the groove. Don't poke a hole in. I almost did. That's why I like the rounded Teflon bone folder. It keeps me from poking a hole in something. Okay, so now we have that ridge. Let's do the same here. On the finished side, that's where you want that groove, right along the edge of the chipboard. Right there. Okay, we have those grooves, and now I'm ready to look at it and see if there's any mitering that we need to do. Let's take the two that are not wrapped on the ends. It's just folded here at the top all the way across. And we have the flap that's going to attach to our lid here. Now we need to make these attachment flaps. So I want you to fold the ends like you're going to attach them down and really burnish this to get your lines. Okay? So fold it over, burnish. It's a little thick there, so just burnish it and get your fold line. Now, what you're going to cut out is this square or rectangle here from the bottom of the chipboard. You're going to cut right across here like that to the point and then cut. Cutting this away like that on both ends. Okay, all the way up to the chipboard corner. Stop and then cut across the top of that section. So you'll end up like that. These are two flaps. This is going to attach here, back here, and these are going to attach these to the other flaps. So we get these two done the same way. So again, cut along the fold line up to the tip of your chipboard and then across the top of that section you're cutting out. So we end up with a flap here, and we end up with a flap on this one. So cut. Set those aside for now. Let's take these others two, and they're going to go opposite each other. Okay? And we're going to attach this just like we would an album cover. So I'm going to put glue in a line. Get it going here. And I may have lost my pen. Hang on a second. So a line of glue about 1/8 of an inch from that chipboard. The reason is it will show if it oozes into that part. Take your top piece, bring this over just like you would for a cover, line it up, flush together the two chipboard pieces, burnish that with your fingers or your bone folder, line them up here and here, and then the other one we're going to do the same thing, a line of glue about 1/8 of an inch from the fold or the chipboard edge. Lift this up a little bit and slide this under. So this is just like making an album cover, this step here. Except that we have a really wide spine if it was an album cover. Okay, so burnish that, then carefully turn it over and go ahead and burnish and clean up any glue you might have in there. Okay, and then turn it back. So that is one end of our lid. These two are going to attach here at the top. Okay, just like this. And I'm looking to see if I want to miter anything. I think I'm going to leave it like this for now, and then I will decide later. So let's turn this sideways. Again, we're going to put here on the finished side, we can see our groove there, a line of glue. And on the attachment flap. And I could have put some score tape on there to hold it down, but I think this will work just fine. Here we go. We're going to line this up. Make sure chipboard to chipboard is lined up in there. Let's burnish that and then leave it and let it dry. Or leave it for just a few seconds. I'm going to turn it so I can do this other side. Again, on our finished side, put our line of glue, 1/8 of an inch from the chipboard groove, and then on the flap, this is making our lid piece. Line this up. Oops. Chipboard to chipboard. Make sure I've got some glue right there I need to clean out. Chipboard is in good. Burnish that. Carefully turn it over and then go ahead and burnish those. So it doesn't look so pretty here on the inside, but remember everything's going to be covered up with pattern paper, and we'll also put some support pieces here. Okay, so let's let that dry just a bit, making sure my folds are nice and straight here along these chipboard pieces. Okay. Okay, after consideration, I am not putting support pieces on these because these are going to be fixed up like that, and you're not going to see that. And we'll put our pattern paper that will come far enough down to cover any chipboard color. But the next thing we need to do is we do need to attach these in, these two flaps here. So this is going to be wrapped. And I am going to miter cut just a little bit. One, you just choose which one's going to be your attached to your lid, to your box. So from the chipboard, I put my scissors in, and I'm just going to do an angle cut like that. And turn it and do it on the other side. Put this in, angle cut. It would be easier before I attached it, but that's okay. We can do it this way. Fold these flaps down. Put my scissor in right here and make a cut for my angle. Right here. Okay. So if you have to, you can kind of cut in a little bit right there. What we're going to do now is we're going to wrap this piece in. We're going to glue these two side flaps. We don't need them as attachment hinges. So we're going to put glue in the groove here along the chipboard and then on the flap. And you attach it completely down. And make sure you burnish it really well. And this is going to be attached to our lid. I mean to our box base. I'm sorry, this is the lid. Okay, so glue the other one down. So we're gluing that flap down because this is going to be attached and we don't need to attach it to the sides here. So just really burnish that. These we want fixed. So these flaps here are going to come in, and I'm going to look at them and see if we need to do any miter cut on them. Here at the bottom, you might need to trim just a smidge off to get them to fit inside better. You don't want them folding up in here where they don't need to be. It's just a tiny little cut, miter cut sort of. And then I'm going to look, these are going to go to the inside because I want the same look on the outside of my box. That one's a little bit rough there. I'm going to sand that a little bit. Don't know if I poked it with something. Let me just clean that up. That's the great thing about artisan cardstock. You can clean up any little place on that. So this is going to go like that, and I'm not going to miter. You can if you think you have something sticking out. And I'm going to take my score tape. I'm going to fold these in. I'm going to put a little tape right here in the center with these folded down. This is to help me. I'm going to fold these down and burnish these edges. And that's where I had to sand just a little bit. Okay, now then, take your tape backing off. Go ahead and do it on both of them. And you might want to grab you a couple of little clips or clothespins if you have them. I have 2 clips here. I'm going to put glue on this flap around the score tape. other side too. So let's bring the side up. I'm going to do one side first. I'm going to line it up in here. I'm making sure it's straight out here. Wipe off any glue that's oozing out. And I'm going to put a clip there to hold it. Same on this side. Let's line it up. Make sure it looks good. Wipe off any glue because you don't want a lot of glue sticking there. And clip that one as well. So I'm going to reach in here and burnish each side. Wipe off any glue that might come out the base of that piece in there. So you want to burnish that to make sure the glue really presses in. So that is the box lid with this flap hanging down. So now we grab our box. I'm going to make sure this is in good. Okay, so we want this, and this is what looks weird. We're going to turn this so the finished side is like this. This is where this is going to attach. And so it looks a little weird, and you want to center it because remember this is a little bigger than your box. I'm going to turn it this way. So when this is closed up, I'm just making sure now this piece here may show because it opens up and down. So let's cut us a little support piece here. So we want it 2 inches by about 6, just under 6 1/8. One support piece that's 2 inches wide, double check, by 6 and just under 1/8. And we'll see how that looks in there. And we do want score tape on this one, so let's cut us a piece of score tape also. Grab me a scrap of score tape. We want it 2 inches by, I didn't cut it all the way through, 2 inches by that 6 1/8. Okay. Now then we'll put that on that support piece. I'll make sure that I write that down on my notes. Take your support piece and your score tape sheet that you cut to fit it. So you want one of those that is also the same size, 2 inch by just under 6 1/8. Peel that backing off and then just go ahead and line this up on this support piece here. So it's going to give it support, and it's also going to cover up where you're going to see this flap on the inside of your book. I think it's going to be a good idea to have that. Okay. I'm just double checking to see if my thinking is right. Oh, there's my lid. No wonder I'm like, these are covered. So right in here, we're going to put this support piece. So let's pull the tape backing off. It's not going to show a lot, but I just think maybe it's a good idea because it is a bending place. So let's turn it. And I didn't dry fit it, so let me make sure. Yeah, that's fine. So we want to cover that hinge piece of the where it's going to fold. And we're going to burnish this, and then we're going to gently fold it, and then we're going to burnish down into that fold. Okay, so once we've got it nice and bent, then we're going to take bigger score tape. And I am going to use both glue and score tape on this. So I've got 2 pieces here, just on this flat. Okay. I'm just seeing where the position's going to be. I don't want to tell you anything wrong. Take these off because now they're dry. So I'm going to look at this. This is going to go inside. I've got my box upside down. This is the base. Those go inside. Okay. This will go down. And our flat will attach to this one. And take a pencil. I'm just going to put a line right here so I know that that's where it's going to attach. Okay? Right there. So we have to fiddle around with this. I just want to make sure I'm telling you the right place. So if we put this in all the way up. Okay. So let's take the backing off of this. Tape in here. It's better to be safe than sorry because we've gotten this far, right? Okay, this is our lid piece. And this is the one that I marked right here. Okay, so this is my back of my box. I'm going to take glue. I'm going to put glue all the way around the perimeter in between the score tape. But not into that fold. Keep it away from that fold, at least 1/16 of an inch or more. Okay, here we go. So this edge of this one that I put the pencil mark on, just so to keep myself straight, I'm going to push up into close to that fold. I'm just turning it to center it. You're going to have a little bit of about 1/16 on each side. So press that down, burnish that. And then we're going to clean off any glue that comes out here on the edge. Turn it around, clean that one up. And I'm going to turn it completely over and put my hand in there. I'm going to burnish that. So you see I have this ridge here, but that's like the box lid. So then this all pulls up. The lid, you hold these with your hand, take the inside corners and pull it down, and it should fit pretty good, just like a box. Okay, so we do have a little bit of gap here where they gap because this is where this is attached, and that's okay. So there's the album box. And now all we do need to pattern the outside, and also we're going to make our pages for inside. So when you open this up, your pages are going to be right here, attached to this section here. They're going to fold into this, but they go open back and forth this way. Okay, so that's where we're at now. Before I make the pages, I'm going to go ahead and add pattern paper to the outside and the inside of my box mini album. Now on the inside here, my writing's upside down, but it's okay. This section here is where the pages are going to go. So I am not putting any pattern paper there because this will all be covered up with the hinges. Now, I am going to be using the L hinges that I like to use where they're attached to the page versus a hidden hinge. So I'll be showing you how to make that. And so I'm going to go ahead. I've cut all my pattern papers. I'm using this cream color here design on the back of one. And so I think you can get all these out of one sheet each. You might need 2 of the green. I didn't keep track very well. I apologize for that. And I'm using also the green diamond shapes, which is the back side of the cornucopia. So first I'm going to do the outside. And I have to remember that this is my album section here. If there's any direction, I'm trying to decide. I think I'll do the fold up my box first. Fold up my box, and then I'll do the top here of the way I want it to look when I'm looking at it. So this is going to be the right side where it opens up, and I've cut this. Now the top, remember the lid is 6 1/8, whereas the box bottom is 6. So you want a piece. I cut all my papers 1/8 of an inch smaller in width and height. You do what kind of border you like. So for this, I did cut it 6 by 6. And then for the part that goes on the bottom, down here at the bottom, that is 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. So you just have to keep that in mind. I am not inking my edges. You can ink yours if you want. That's what you would do now if you're going to do that. And I'm putting the pattern papers on with my art glitter glue. Now I know that's really pretty, but I am going to be putting a shaker, so I don't want a photo element right now on mine. I want just a pattern with not a lot of images on it. So that's why I chose the other side. So here we go. Let's start putting all our pattern paper on. I'm going to speed up the video. Remember, all sections are cut 1/8 of an inch shorter in height and width than what your box is. And you do not have to put pattern paper on that one section where the pages are going to attach. So let's go ahead and do that and get all this burnished on. Okay, so the camera did turn off, but I got all of these patterned, and you do have to measure down for this shorter piece in here. So I did all the beige on the box bottom on the wider sections, and the green is on the top, and then the green's here on this bottom. So when we pull it all together, we have this looking like this. So we have the green on the top. I like how that looks. And the cream color pattern here on the bottom. So now we're ready for the inside. I'm going to use the same papers on the inside. Remember, you cut everything 5 1/2 by 1/8 of an inch smaller than everything else. Remember, you cut on the inside, measure your sections. You cut everything 1/8 of an inch shorter in the width and the height. You do not need to pattern this section here. So you've got your fixed lid here and the opening box here. So this one right here does not need patterned paper. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video and get these patterned as well. And remember, the lid one is bigger, so you can cut that 6 by 6, and this one you cut 5 by 7 1/8 if you're using the 1/8 inch pieces. So let me see if I've got the right ones cut here. This should be the smaller. Yes, so this goes like that. And if it has a direction, pay attention to that because you want your patterns so that you're looking at your book like this. Okay, so that's why I'm looking at the back. I can see This is the correct way on this. I'm going to go ahead and glue these in and speed up the video. So there it is. The inside looks much better now with all that patterned and all that unfinished parts covered up. So let me put my glue pen in, and then we're going to make our pages. So we're going to need our cardstock, so we'll get that cut. I'm going to go ahead and fold this up right now. Put the box lid on, and that's the top of our album box right there. I love how it's turning out. So let's get our pages made. We're going to make 5 L hinge pages. So you need 2 sheets of cardstock. You're going to cut, you can cut 2 out of 1, and then the large piece like this that's left, you can cut another, because you can cut 6 this away, and you have the width here that you need. Okay, so these are the scraps. You want to save these because we're going to be using those also on our pages. I have 5 here cut, and they are 6 1/4 by 5 3/4. It's the size we need. We're going to put on each one the 6 1/4 in at the top of our scoreboard, and you're going to score at a 1/2 inch. This will make your hinge. Okay, that goes into the album. So do all of those, all 5 the same. Put your 6 1/4 in at the top. Score at a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of those. Okay, so now take your bone folder. First I have to find mine. There it is. And you're going to fold each 1/2 inch and burnish. And what I like to do is fold it back on itself again, and then back again. This makes it trained, and with artisan cardstock you have a good hinge. It's really not going to tear on you or anything. So I'm comfortable with that. If you don't like L hinge, then you'll have to readjust your page sizes and make pocket sleeves and make a hinge. And I am not going to do that in this video with this project because I like to use this. I think this will work great for me. So go ahead, and it worked great for this project. So if you haven't tried the L hinge, go ahead and give it a try. You might find that you like it. It's, I think, much easier to get your pages into your book. So I'm going to burnish this. And there have been people who are uncomfortable or think their cardstock isn't strong enough that will actually put clear gift wrap tape over their hinge where it won't show that much. You're going to use the matte kind of gift tape, or Scotch gift wrap tape. So I'm just folding and burnishing each hinge. Get a good, nice hinge, crisp fold on that. And like I said, I like to go back and forth because that trains those fibers in that paper to fold really nicely for a hinge. One more. It's kind of like a waterfall. You know how you do these for waterfalls? Well, it's the same principle here. It's strong enough for waterfalls. It is also strong enough for a hinge on a page. Okay, next we're going to make some pockets and extra flaps, probably extra flaps first. From those two scrap pages, pieces that we had left over from cutting the 5, this one here is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and I'm just going to make 1/2 inch score mark on just one side. And this becomes an extra page flap. For now, we may make more, but I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on this one. Burnish it. Now it's going to be a little bit shorter. I'll show you. This is your page. So this becomes a flap, and that's what you want. You want it to be shorter than your actual page, or I want it on this one because you can see where to flip it open. Okay, so this is a flap. And then this, so pulled out some more scraps. Yours may be different than mine. This one is 12 inches by about 4, it looks like. 3 7/8. Didn't think it was quite 4. So I'm going to put the 12-inch in, and I am going to score at a 1/2 inch on one end. And then we're going to scoot over, and the height of my page is 5 3/4. So the 1/2 inch, I'm going to fold it so I know I'm scoring in the right place for a fold. And I'll put this back in with the fold, and 5 3/4 a score, which opened up with this would be scoring at 6 1/4. And then we're going to fold this up and see if we need to trim. Yeah, we're going to trim this end off. I'm going to take a 1/2 inch off the side without the fold. So I'm going to take a 1/2 inch off right here. So instead of 12 inches, we have 11 1/2. Trim your scrap down to 11 1/2 by 3 7/8 if you have that size, and we're going to score at a 1/2 inch. It looks like 6 1/8. 1/2 inch and 6 1/8, and then that should fit in right there like that. Okay, so I'm going to do one more. I think I have another one. This one is 4 by 12. I'm going to take it down to 11 1/2 by cutting a 1/2 inch off. Okay, so a 4 inch, if you have a 4 inch scrap by 11 1/2, we're going to score at a 1/2 inch and 6 1/8. And so that gives us a 1/4 inch space there for that. I'm going to burnish that because I don't want it to go all the way. And I'm going to show you on my page. I'll probably attach it like here, the top or at the bottom, whichever way you want to do, and make it a fold out. You can also do it this way and make it a fold out. So we've got 2 of those. One is just a bit smaller, not too terribly much. Okay, from my scraps, I don't know if you'll have the same, but I found 3 more that were 12 inch, so I cut them down to 11 1/2. They're 4 inches. So I'm going to score these at the 1/2 inch. So I'll have a total of 5 of these, and at 6 1/8. And then we'll fold these up, and we'll use them on our pages as photo flaps. So again, 11 1/2, the top, score at 1/2 inch, and 6 1/8. This way we're not wasting any of our scraps. If yours are a different size, then you just adjust your flap sizes to what scraps you have. You just want a 1/2 inch hinge, and then you can fold in half, and I will show you in just a second one that I'm going to do that way, or fold it to where you want it, and then you will know what size to make it for your book. Anyway, I'm going to score these, furnish those later. This one here is happens to be 4 3/4. If you want to cut it down to 4, you can, and it's 8 1/2. And I'm going to put it in and score it at a 1/2 inch and at 4 1/2. Scored at 1/2 inch and at 4 1/2. And then that folds in half right there. So that's one of those that I just kind of guessed at it. I'm going to put that's 4 1/2 there. Okay, like this one here measures 4 inches by 7 1/2. So I'm going to score it for sure at the 1/2 inch to get my hinge. So use this as an example if you have odd scraps. And as long as it folds up to where you can see where the tab goes. So I'm just going to fold it up, make sure it's even on both sides. And I'm going to score it right there, or burnish it. So I didn't have to score it, I just folded it. So that actually ends up being about 4 1/8 on that one. So just burnish that good. And so that should be enough flaps that we can add in and put them in where we want to in our book. And we'll go ahead and get these flaps put on, and then we'll put the pages in the book. Now you need to take each of your little flaps that you made, regardless of the size, and you need to burnish them where the score is, and also for your little hinge on them. Go ahead and do those the same as you would for your pages, a couple of back and forth scores so that they turn easy, and then set them aside. So I'm going to speed up the camera and go ahead and do that on all of mine so that you can see what I'm doing. So the hinges, the 1/2 inch is your hinge. So back and forth a couple of times on that. And then of course the fold. And remember, you can make yours whatever size you need to with your own scraps, as long as they fit on your page. Okay, so of course you don't want to make them so long they don't fit on your page, or so wide. So I'm burnishing mine, and so go ahead and get all of yours burnished and ready for your album pages. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I have all these ready, the flaps. I'm going to grab my pages. We have 5 of these. I'm going to go ahead and put them in before I start adding in my flaps. So I'm going to grab my book box. Here we go. I'm going to open it up. Hard to tell which way is the front here. There it is. There we go. Just open this up. They're fitting in really tight, which is good. So this opens down, and the pages are going to go right in here. So I'm going to put the first one in right along the edge of the spine, not over the fold. You want to make sure it doesn't go over that. So over where the edge of the chipboard is. And these are 5. What did I say these were? 5 3/4. Yes. And so your hinge spine section here is 6. So 5 3/4. You're going to put this so it's just barely, it's like 1/8 of an inch, top and bottom. And I'm just going to use glue to put mine in. So with your 1/2 inch folded down like this, on this 1/2 inch tab, we're going to put glue on one side. with it folded down, the tab folded down, the fold of your page goes along the edge of your chipboard of your spine. And again, remember, it's about 1/16 of an inch from the bottom here and here in the spine area. And then burnish that. So this is your very first page that you've put in. I'm going to open it up so that I can burnish. Now it's going to get a little hard to see because of the color. So I don't know if using a pencil to show you where the, see, this is the cardstock of the wrap. So here's the edge of my 1/2 inch hinge. Let me hold this up so maybe you can see it. See, I marked it with pencil. This is your 1/2 inch right there. And I just need to burnish this to make sure it stays in really good, especially on these ends here. So the next page, you're going to fold your hinge back, and the fold of the hinge, or the L hinge, is going to go right up against the 1/2 inch that we just put down. And you want to make sure you get it as close to it as possible. Okay, so glue again on the back of this 1/2 inch flap here, tab, and make sure they're lining up. Use glue to give you enough wiggle room. You want the fold of this one right up against that cut of that last one. So you have a 1/2 inch space. And then make sure you're matching it up top and bottom. And then give it a good burnish, holding it down. And that's page 2. You see how it lays flat back in there into that book? Just like this. There we go. Each one's going to have a 1/2 inch between them. And really burnish that. You want this to stick in there really good. We're going to take the third one. Same thing. It's going to fit in. So you should be able to see this one because of the chipboard. So put your glue on your 1/2 inch tab. Line it up, the fold of the page with the L hinge to your left, right up against that 1/2 inch section there, the space right in there. Burnish. Lift it up, mop off any glue you might have, and burnish. That is page 3. You see in here you've got a 1/2 inch there that's very similar to a waterfall. Fold the fourth one, glue on the back. Now the last one, we're going to have to really look at it and make sure it's fitting into this section here. So this 1/2 inch space, again, fold of the page goes right up to that cut edge, the one just put down, and burnish. All right, lift it up. Here's your last one. We should have plenty of room. I just want to double check because we don't want anything going over that fold. I'm going to make sure. I'm going to hold this up. Yes, should be fine. So fold this down. Again, the glue. The fold of the page hinge, the L hinge goes right up against that. Make sure they're lining up real nice and tight. Okay. And their pages are in. Burnish that. Now, of course, right here, we can cover this with some patterned paper, scraps when we're done. So there's all 5 of the pages in to the book box. Right there, and it fits in there with this. And when it closes up, it's all contained. Okay, now we're ready to add some of our flaps and things. You can put them in any order that you want to. I was thinking of putting this one here And let me grab a different color paper to put under here so it's easier to see. Okay, so I put a piece of craft cardstock under my first page right here so we can see what we're doing, right? And this is, we have 3 this size. So I'm going to put it on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th page. And so I'm going to put this is the size of the page, and I'm going to attach this to the right side. So I'm going to turn it, put glue on my 1/2 inch tab here, flap. Take the fold here, the fold of this that's folded back. I'm going to put it right along the cut edge of page 1. Okay, make sure they match up top and bottom. All the way across, you want them straight. You have to move it a little bit or refold, reburnish. Burnish that really well. Lift it up and burnish. And I've got a little glue right there. I'm just going to wipe it up. Burnish that. Pattern paper will go over that. So that's page 1 right there with a flap on it. So we fold it back. We've got page 2. We're going to skip. Page 3, I'll put this under here we can see. So this is going to go onto the right of page 3. So the glue on the back of your 1/2 inch tab. Now we want it so that the fold of the tab is here on the right. And we're going to line it up with the page. Burnish that down. Open it up and burnish. Okay, there's page 3. Skip page 4. Page 5 is the last one, so that's where I'm going to put this 3rd one. Okay, same thing, glue on your 1/2 inch tab. Line it up. So this is attached down here. Make sure it's lined up. Oops, I got a lot of glue there. Let me find my wiping towel. Okay, and just wipe that off. Oops, and burnish. All that will be covered up, of course, with your patterned paper. So now we open this back, and we have our other flaps ready to go on. Okay, so I've opened my pages all to the left. So this is kind of the back side, I guess. But I'm going to take one of these pieces that we made that has the 1/2 inch attachment flap here. It has the folds. Now you can fold it any way you want to, in or out. I'm going to fold it in right now so it stays probably in pretty good. So glue just goes on this 1/2 inch tab right here. Now this one I can't really put the paper in, I don't think, to show you clear definition. Maybe I can a little bit of it. Okay, so there's your page, right? And yeah, it's easier if it's not in the book, but I kind of like to see what it looks like in the book. So it's all personal preference. The hinge goes here on this back side, and I'm about 1 inch from the edge. I just want to make sure it's lined up right here at the bottom. Make sure it's lining up. I'm going to fold it so I can burnish it. So we have a flap that's attached at the bottom. Clean up any glue here. We don't want it gluing itself shut. And I'm going to burnish here on the inside to make sure it sticks. And I have a little bit of glue right there, I think. Let me flip it. So it did come undone there. It didn't have enough glue. So let me fold it back up. Real important that it is straight on the bottom of that page, okay? So I'm going to burnish that through all the thicknesses really well. And make sure it's stuck there at the bottom, okay? So there's that flap. It can fold up like that and down. And so we have several of these. We also have these smaller ones here. Like this one could be a side one right here. So I'm just putting glue on the 1/2-inch tab. And you just put them wherever you want to add them in. I'm going to spread that glue out some. So I picked up this page here, and I'm just going to kind of center it maybe. It's about a 1/2-inch top and bottom. And burnish that right there with my fingers because it's easier than getting the bung folder in there. But I can do it by laying it on this side. Okay, there's that one. Now I think on this one I'm going to put another one of these like this. So this is the second one from the back. It has nothing here on this side. And I'm trying to decide which way I want it to go. If I put it this way, it's going to fit really close in here. But it doesn't go over the fold. So I'm just going to put glue. I'm going to do that like for a not a vertical, but horizontal photo, landscape type. Put it all the way to the edge, kind of center it top and bottom. So it has about 1/8 of an inch clearance there. I'm going to burnish that in. Open it up, see if there's any glue. So you can fold it that way, or you can take it and you can fold it backwards like this and let it fold inside like that. You just burnish it some more to make sure it's staying. And I really don't think you probably need any magnets or anything, but you can add whatever type of closures you want. So this one here, we have that over there on that side. Make sure these don't hinder each other. I don't think so. So this is a small one here. And I'm going to put the glue on the 1/2-inch tab. And like I said, you can put these any direction you want to, and on whatever side. You can do it on top or side, top or bottom, just as long as you put them on straight. Burnish. Lift it up and burnish. Make sure there's no glue there. Okay. Okay. And you may want to leave some pages solid. So I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to do it on this side this time. And I'm going to put this one this way. Glue on the 1/2-inch tab. Lining it up here at the top. I'm going to center it in my page, about 1 inch on each side, I think. Kind of eyeballing it. Lift it up and burnish. So all of these flaps will be covered with patterned paper. And we have 2 more. We have this on the front here. I'm going to put one, I think, another one that's a horizontal landscape photo type. So glue on that one. Right here on the edge. Center it. Oops. Okay, so there's that one. I'm going to fold it under for now. So this one has this flap like this. think I'm going to leave that. This one has this. This one has this one going up. This one has that. This one has nothing yet. This one has a little one. This one has this one going sideways. This one has this flap. This one has this one going down. Let's do this one that doesn't have anything yet. I think I'm going to put it at the top. Glue on it. Now, you notice I haven't done any pockets yet, but I may add those as I go with the decorating. I'm not sure yet. Let me slide this over. I didn't want that one that close to the side here. Make sure it's even at the top here. Okay, that one's kind of got that one off the edge there, so open it up, wipe off the glue, and burnish. Where's my bone folder? So I have lots of flips and flaps. I'm going to pull that under right now till I decide how I want it to go. So there's what's in it so far. We have room to add pockets if we want. Let's see what we got. We got some scraps. Now this is a small little scrap. 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. I'm going to put the 4 3/4, should I say? 4 3/4 in at the top, and I'm going to score it a 1/2 inch. So look at any scraps you have. Yours can be different than mine. You could have used this as a photo mat, but I kind of want to make it a flap, photo flap. Here on this first one here, I'm going to put it right here at the top. Turn this sideways. There we go, line it up good, and burnish in there. So that's a cute little flap right there, and you can add a swing closure if you wanted to or something. And some more scraps here I have. This is a nice long one. This would make a pocket. If you've got to have a pocket somewhere, let's see. This flap is 5 1/4. So 5 1/4. Add an inch. 6 1/4. We're going to cut it at 6 1/4. We're going to make a pocket. Cut it at 6 1/4 wide. And it measures, it's a scrap, it measures 2 3/4, and that's fine. Now I'm going to score it on 2 ends. So I'm going to score at 5 3/4 and a 1/2. Now if you want to make it where it holds more, we can turn this and score the bottom, the 2 3/4 side, at a 1/2 inch. That should make plenty big enough pocket. Miter cut where the score marks meet at the corner, like that. Fold and burnish your score lines, all the same direction. Here where you mitered it, they should not overlap. Just make a nice corner here. If you want to punch your edge, you can. I'm just going to glue my pocket on right here. Let me get that piece of paper so you can see what I'm doing. So first I'm going to put glue on the bottom 1/2 inch tab. I'm going to glue it on the bottom of this page because it matches it exactly. Make sure the fold at the bottom of your pocket goes all the way to the cut bottom of your page. Burnish this. Open it up and burnish. Take your tape, your gift wrap, Scotch gift wrap tape. Seal that bottom. Make it nice and smooth for whatever tucks in if you don't pattern the paper all the way. Now glue on your 1/2 inch tabs. Both are laying the same direction. Fold it up and attach these down on the sides. And now we have a pocket right there. So I had this one scrap laying here and I thought, hey, I might as well use it, right? So this one is 5 3/4 by 2 1/2. Put your 5 3/4 in at the top is what I'm going to do and score it a 1/2 inch. And this one is going to go with this short little pocket or flap thing here on the 3rd page, back side. And I'm going to burnish this here. I'm just showing you how you can use different scraps to make elements. And of course you're going to worry about putting pattern paper on that. Score that right there. Okay, so this, I'm going to glue this along the fold line of this page here, not into this 1/2 inch section. And it's going to extend over this flap here. And so you can add a magnet here if you want to. So I'm going to just put glue on the 1/2 inch here. And I've given the measurements of my pieces or that I made in mine if you just want to cut yours the same. But you can utilize your scraps that could be different sizes and make the same elements to just be different size. So just make sure this fold of this flap does not go into your 1/2 inch page section here. Burnish that and burnish. And wipe that glue off. There we go. So that folds there. And like I said, you can put a magnet there if you want to, which I probably will do. I'll go ahead and show you real quick. Doing a magnet, I'm going to use some of my small ones here that I have several of, because it doesn't need a real big one. Let me get that out of my tin here. That one's too thick. These are not basic grade. If you're using the small basic gray, you'll just pull your backing off. They've already got adhesive on them, so they're already sticky. So I'm just going to put a drop of glue here, about, looks like about 3/4 of an inch from the side. I'm going to put one magnet here on this back side. I'm doing it before I put my patterned paper on. So if you use any magnets, you will need to do this. I'm going to cover this with some Scotch tape because that will help keep the magnet from showing a lot. Also, it keeps it secure in place because I don't have the sticky from the basic gray. Then I'm going to match this magnet up. So that's the direction. I'm going to get my tape ready. Put it on the, whoops, stuck to my metal note board back here. Okay, quit being that way. All right. I put it so that the tape is on the side that is what I call magnetic. That's where it's attaching to my other magnet. Now the sticky side of my tape is up. I'll put a little glue on my magnet. I'm going to close it down, press it down, and let that tape catch. and lift up. Hopefully, whoops, did not catch. Very carefully lift it up with that tape there. She's not grabbing. So let me get in here where I can really rub it. There it goes. Well, I saw it catch. There we go. Now, and we rub it down good. Once you get that tape on there, it'll stick and dry. Okay, so there's that little closure flap like that you can lift up once we get the pattern paper on there. I have one more scrap of paper here. I can make one more pocket, I think. See where we want one. So I have one on my, right there. I have one on this page flap. Let's put it on this page flap because it doesn't have one. So this will be the same size as I cut before. It's going to be 6 1/4 wide. And it just happens to be already at 3 inches. So we just need to score it, cut it and score it. So I want it to be 6 1/4 wide. Okay, 6 1/4 wide, and now we're going to score it. The 6 1/4 inch side at 1/2 inch, 5 3/4. Is that right? Looks like I may not have cut it right. Let me see here. Five 3/4 is where it scores. Okay, there we go. Now we fold it up, and we also need to score the bottom. So that's put the 3 inch in and score at a 1/2 inch on just one side. Okay, I'm just double checking my measurements here. Miter cut your corner where the 2 score lines intersect on the same side across the bottom. I'm going to burnish this up, fold and burnish your pocket. Should not overlap much or at all. This one needs cut just a little more. There we go. Glue on the bottom. Now I have not put any waterfalls in this project. If you wanted to, you certainly could add some on one of your main pages if you wanted to. So I'm going to burnish that in. Make sure it's right along the bottom. Tape. If you've got any glue on there, wipe that off so it doesn't glue it shut. Glue on the 1/2 inch flaps on the sides. Close it up. Line it up on each side, and you have a pocket there. Burnish those sides. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to add in is flaps and pockets. And so what I will be doing off camera now is adding my pattern paper. You do the same. Just look at your patterns from the collection you're using. Cut them out. For your pockets, you can either just use partial down to save paper or go all the way. It's up to you. I will be cutting mine 1/8 of an inch shorter in the width and 1/8 of an inch shorter in the height than what my pages are. So there's the finished album assembled. So I'm going to get mine patterned, and then I will come back and show you what I've done with that before I do my actual decorating. I've added all my pattern paper, and I thought I would run through this real quick with you so you can see what I've done. Of course, you do not have to use the same prints in the same areas as I did. Of course, here's the outside of the box album with the green diamond print here on the front of the lid, the top and the sides, and then on the bottom. And then I use this cream print here on the sides. And so when you, of course, open it up, you have the same on the inside. And then this is what you see when it opens up like this. Now, of course, I haven't done any decorating. So here on this flap, I kind of match the inside of the box and then kind of piece this one here. And then I cut out this part of the cornucopia for here. And then inside here we have the Pilgrim or Thanksgiving lady like that. So then this one folds to the left and it says Thanksgiving. So I kind of on my pages used one sheet to kind of make everything here. Now this one I goofed up and I folded my flap the wrong way, and so it was not holding itself. So I had to make a magnetic belly band closure here to hold this down. Otherwise it was flopping like that. And so then when this is closed like this, then this one lifts up this way, and this is just attached down. It's not. You could tuck something in the top if you wanted to. I tried to make sure on the rest of them that I didn't open it the wrong way. So then this one, see, they all hold themselves good if they're folded in instead of out. So I use the blue here with the turkeys, and here on the inside the same. And then we have a pocket here, so we'll put something in there when I decorate. Got the blue across from it and the turkeys. Here, as you can see, I combined the back with this maroon pattern with the orange. Threw in a little bit of this because I had one that size, and then I also brought that in here on the opposite side. So that all folds down like that. And again, here's that shimmer for a photo mat, and this is a belly band, so you can slide a photo under there. And on this double page spread, I went with the dishes and the pretty blue backgrounds and used the two different blue patterns and did a mat like that. And so this one opens up like this. And I did go ahead and pattern the 1/2-inch spaces with some of the scraps as I was cutting these others, and these are 3/8 inch wide. And then this last one here, I used the cut apart card for the front of this one, trimmed it down to fit. I love how it says Thanksgiving greeting with the beautiful turkey. And then this folds out. Now, because of the box lid, you do have to lift these up to fold everything down. I have a mat down here at the bottom. I'm going to be adding a bit of decorating, not a whole lot. I don't want a lot of thickness. You don't want a lot of flowers and stuff. So I'll probably be using some of the cut aparts, tuck some things in the pockets. So pretty much that's the inside pattern like that. So we'll bring the box in together, and then we'll do the lid. And first I will show you how to make I think I'm going to do a frame, shaker frame. To create the shaker frame for the front of the box album, I went ahead and used a die that I have. It's a rectangle stitch die. So if you look at it real quick, close, you can see the little stitchings on both sides. Any kind of rectangle die you have. This one is about, the outer part is about a little over 5 by over 3 3/4. And so I did two. I cut out, so I used a larger frame and then a smaller one to create this frame. And I used a die and cut out two. I wanted one out of the pattern paper, this blue that I had a scrap of, and also the cardstock that I'm using. Then I wanted a background, so I used one of the 4x6s, and I trimmed it down, and then I wanted this image, so I've layered this on top. So you can choose whatever you want for your background. So you see this is going to work like I cut it down in length to fit and in width on that. And then I have a background piece. This is from the die as well, the larger size here. To assemble this, I have my sparklets from Country Craft Creation. These are the fall foliage ones. You got little leaves and sequins and things in there. And then I have my foam tape that I'm going to also use. Now first, I'm going to use my glue to glue this pattern piece on top of my cardstock piece. And I'm just going to glue it right on top. It is not, I didn't cut it to make it where you see the cranberry or the burgundy. I just wanted the extra thickness for the frame. I thought it would be better than having just the patterned paper as my frame on this. So I'm just going to put glue on the back of the patterned paper, and then I'm going to layer it here over the cardstock and just burnish it down with my fingers and get a thicker, heavier frame for this. And then I'm also going to need my acetate piece. So let me get that. I also cut my acetate piece out with my die cut, so it's the same size as this background piece here. It even has the stitching on it, but that's not important. So it's, make sure you cut one the size of your to fit your frame. Now I use transparency sheets that I bought a box of from the office supply. You can also use some of your scraps packaging that different things come in. Will also make great acetate for your frames or your shaker parts. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take this, and I have a very narrow score tape, and I'm going to put this along the edges of my acetate. So I know you can't see it really well there on the table here, but I'm adding it to all four sides because I'm going to attach this to the back of my frame. Burnish this down so it's easier to peel off. Grab my scissors, and I'm going to go ahead and peel the tape backing off. And I always get a little bit of lint and stuff on my acetate, so I'll have to wipe that off once I get it all assembled here before I add my bits of shaker stuff. Okay, so I'm going to take the frame and flip it over and sticky side down. I'm going to carefully line this up so it should be the same size because it was cut with the die, the same frame thing. So burnish that all the way around. Okay, so there's the frame with the acetate attached. I'm just wiping it off. Here I have a lint cloth thing. Have it clipped here, so I just need to wipe all this off. Make sure your area is pretty clean here. Okay, so there's the frame. Now I'm going to flip this over again, and I'm going to take my little strips. These are from Country Craft Creations. These are the little narrow foam tape strips, double-sided. So they're already cut for you. And I'm going to put these right along the edge, the inner edge of my frame. And I'll trim these down as I need them and add in here. So I want to make sure it's sealed up completely all the way. Oops, okay. a little straighter. Make sure it stays within the frame. Don't be moving out. So here I made sure it matched up there really well. So make sure it goes all the way to the other piece of foam tape. Like that. So I'm going to have to put a little bit in here. So I'm going to see if I can just lift this up where it overextends and clip some of that off. And I'm going to use a little bit of that. I'm not going to waste any. This one sticks out a little bit, but not enough to use. I just want to cut that even. Okay. So I'm going to take another one here. And I'm just going to line it up along the top edge. Cut the excess off. And use that little bit here. Make sure it pushes right up against the one. And then I need a little bit more in each one. So I'm just going to cut a little bit off. I'm going to put that in there. Because you want it solid with tape. Foam tape all the way around. Okay, there's that. Now then, I'll take this backing and I'm going to glue my image to the back because it's not quite the width, and that's okay. I'm just going to take some glue, try to squeeze some out. I want to come out today. Find my pin here and kind of clean that nozzle out. I'm just seeing how far from the edge it needs to be. About 1/8. Looks like about 1/8 of an inch, but it should come all the way down to the bottom and to the top. So get it on straight. Double check that will work. Okay, so that's my image. Now I'm going to turn this so that, make sure I don't have any goop there on there. Wipe that off again. This I want the foam facing up, so I'm going to go ahead and pull my backings off, paper backings, and this is the piece that I'm going to put my little sprinkles in. And then I will attach that back piece here down onto the frame. Now, if you wanted this thicker, you know, the frame part thicker for your shaker bits, you could add another layer of foam. Tape along each edge. Okay, the last one. Okay. Now I'm going to open up my little bits here. Of course, I'm not going to use all of them. I'm just going to sprinkle in, make sure I've got leaves in there. You don't want it on the foam. You want to make sure it's in within the acetate sections, away from the foam here. Just a little bit more. These are so pretty. I love the gold leaves and the iridescent bits, and then of course the red looking orangish red to bring in that fall color too. I'm stuck on the tape. I'll put it in the center here. So I think that may be enough. One more leaves. There we go. Okay, so put that aside. So I'm just going to spread these out. Make sure there's not one on my tape, foam tape, and it wants to stick to me. I'll take my scissors, and a piece of backing there didn't come off. There we go. Take this one down. So I'm just going to kind of spread these out. Oops. Bumped it. Okay, get it nice and kind of flat. Now then, we're going to take this little piece of tape back and just keeps popping back. I don't want him in there. It's supposed to have been in the trash. Okay. Whoop. Come on. They like me. They like to stick to me. One more there. Okay, so now we'll line this up. It should be the same size. And then I'm going to burnish along the edges, sealing it up where the foam tape is. And that should be my fall shaker piece there with my bits of leaves and stuff in there with my image. I like that. And this is what's going to go right here on my box, my album box. So I can put my foam tape up. I'm going to, I have die cut. I did use those die cuts that I got from Country Craft Creations by Echo Park, the 3 leaves and some acorns. I punched some out of, die cut some out of the Shimmer Gold artisan cardstock, out of the burgundy, and then I've also done some out of like a craft kind of brown that I had in my stash. I had a scrap of that. So these are going to be glued on there along with these flowers. And I just have to decide exactly what all I want to do. I need to go ahead and decide exactly what I want to do and arrange my arrangement, and then also do a few things on the inside to finish this up. First, we're going to work with the leaves and shape them and add a little more color and texture to them. So I have my pumice stone ink, distress ink, and I'm just kind of lightly inking the edges, and then also running especially these craft ones, a little bit of ink over the top of them like that. So I've done that one. I just want to give them a little more color and a little more texture to them. So I'm just inking them like this. And I also did a little bit on that shimmer one. Not a whole lot, just a little, to give it a little depth to it, I guess you would say. So I like the shimmer look, but I want a little bit of this darkness, you know, to make it look more like a leaf that's been out in the elements, I guess you would say. So we do that. And then I think I'm also going to do the burgundy one some. Don't know if it'll show up as much on them, but just a little bit of ink on those guys. And then we're going to do some shaping of our leaves. So whatever you use to shape, if you've punched out some leaves and you want to, some paper leaves, you want to shape them, or if you maybe made some flowers for yours, and then you want your tool that you're going to use. Now, I don't know if I'm going to use any of the acorns or not, so I'm just going to lay them aside right now. I might ink these craft looking ones a little bit. Could use that one. I'm not going to use all three of the colors though. Pick this one up. Kind of hard to pick up. Okay, ink it. Okay. Whoops. Lay it there in case I do want to use it. Okay. So then we're going to take my foam and my shaping tool, and we'll do some shaping. I don't think I've shaped fall leaves before, so I'm going to give a go of this. I'm going to just spritz a little bit of water, not much, on my leaves. I'm going to do one set first, I think. So you see with this die, you get 3 different shapes of leaves. Then I'm going to lay them down, wipe some of that off, face down. And I'm just going to kind of start circling around on the back. I'm not real sure what I'm doing. So I just kind of wanted to curl a little bit. I want to get some shape, leaf shape. So I'm not touching them. I'm just letting them curl. So we need a little more spritz on it. And I'm going to flip them over. And I'm going to kind of do the center of them, I think. Not sure. You may need to just let them curl on the front too. Just like that. That one. Oops. I want them to kind of look like leaves that have fallen from the tree and kind of gotten damp and curled up. That looks pretty good. Turn this one over. Just be careful, don't get too much water on them. You don't want them to, you know, tear or anything. I do want to keep my leaves intact. Okay, so there's those. Just a little more on the back side. Okay, I like that one the way it turned out, and that one looks pretty good that way. So I'm going to do the others, very similar. I may just do the rounding on the front side. Do these two first. See how that turns out. So first thing I'm going to do is glue this down. And I'm going to center it. Try to get quite a bit of glue here on the back if I can. This bottle's getting low, so it doesn't want to come out real well. There we go. Okay. Making sure of the direction of my album cover, that this is the right direction. You don't want anything upside down or sideways. You want it the way you want it to go. And I'm just going to press down with my hands and let that dry. And then I was thinking, these are from Country Craft Creations. I'm not sure if they're still available in the shop, but these metal pieces here I think look really pretty. I'm just going to put two, one on each corner, and they do come over the frame. And I just use art glitter glue. Now you can use glossy accents or whatever type of glue you prefer for metal. I'm just going to put it here in different places and place it on and then let it dry. It usually does really well with the art glitter glue for me. Of course, you've got this lip that's raised here. Turn this around, make sure I'm putting it on correct. I'm going to line it up with the patterned paper. Take my cloth or my paper towel here and press down where any glue may come out. So I'm going to have to hold this a little bit or keep coming back and pressing down, but it is soft, so it does bend pretty good, but because of this raised part here, it's kind of like wanting to pop up some. So make sure I have plenty of glue on there in those areas. Okay, so I've got it all glued down. There's a little gap in there where the space is like in between, but the end points are all glued and staying glued down, so I'm happy with that. So next I'm going to glue these flowers, and I'm just going to take glue, my art glitter glue, on the back side of where the stem is, and just add a line of glue, and I'm going to press these in right here along the edge. I'm not cutting anything off right now. So that's the cream colored ones from that collection. Some flat side ones there. They can be moved around. It's just this stem here that's being glued in. And then of course I've got the yellow ones here, and I'm going to kind of bring the stem of it out to the side, to the right of it. So again, a line of glue. And you do have to let it sit for a little bit, but it will, that art glitter will grab and hold like that. Okay. Then I did tie a bow with that weave ribbon from Country Craft Creation, this cream colored. I really like how that looks. So I think I'm going to be gluing that right in there perhaps, but I'm going to work with my leaves first. Let's see what we've got here. So we've got some leaves. I like the shimmery leaf here. Put the glue on the back, just on the base of it. These are a little different to work with than actual flowers, so I'm going to get it down in there really good. Get plenty of glue on there. One of the, maybe a red one kind of like in there like that. I'm going to put glue right here in the center of all these leaves. Good amount of glue. This one here I couldn't move very well. I'm going to just kind of fake it. I'm going to, it's very soft, so I think that it will work by being just brought in, like tucked in a little of the excess there. Some glue right there, kind of showing. So I'm going to let that dry. So these hang down over the side. Now this one I may, once it dries, trim it off a little bit, retie that knot. So I'm going to let things dry. I have one more leaf here. I'm trying to decide where I want to put it, like up here at the top, I think. So glue in the back a bit. And I like how they're just, you know, kind of curled in there. Kind of arrangement of leaves like that right there. So this all has to dry. I haven't used the acorn that I punched, and I think I'm not, oh, I have one more red leaf. I'm going to try to bring that in right there. Okay. Want to use them all on the front. If I need more, I can punch more for the inside, but I don't know if I will. So that's going to kind of go right there. So we're just going to let this dry, and then I'll decide if I want to put something in the center of the bow or not, or just leave it like that. So I'm going to let everything dry for now. I really like how that looks. Let me hold it up. My light came back on brighter for some reason. It's not even Halloween, and it's trying to do its funny thing again. So I really like how that turned out. So I'm going to let everything dry and take a look and see if there's something else that maybe I want to put in there or not. Okay. Here's my finished box mini album that I designed for Country Craft Creations using their 12 by 12 Bountiful Blessings exclusive paper collection. This is a boxed mini album. I did use here on the front some of the metal corners that I did receive from Country Craft Creations. I created the frame with a die, a rectangle stitch die, and this is a cut apart inside and some elements, shaker elements inside, so you can see that shaker elements moving back and forth. Some fall leaves that I punched out of the cardstock papers, some flowers that I purchased from Country Craft Creations, the ribbon and button string, and I added bits of some of the same elements that are in the shaker in here with the leaves and flowers. So I love how it turned out. It's just plain on the back, on the bottom of the box. Patterned it the same on the bottom and then on the top. And so this is the lid. It lifts up and lays back. And I didn't do anything on the inside. I just left that for an option of a picture. So let me zoom out just a little bit so we can see it all at once. Okay, it's a little better. So here we have, it has 5 page sets in here. This album does measure 6 by 6. And here on the front, we have this flip up here. Some piecing in the flap here in the top where you can put a photo. This opens out, so we have a nice spread here for Thanksgiving. Kind of goes with the inside cover. I did use the cornucopia paper here because I thought it was really pretty. And then the next inside, back side of page 1, we have a flap that opens multiple ways. So we have lots of room for photos here. And then we have a photo mat here on the inside. Page 2 has a lift up magnetic belly band type with a photo mat here, area for photos. This does fold down. And you can close it back up and flip it up the other way. We have a little tuck spot here with some of the cut apart tags. And this little tag I made and attached onto the string. One of the gold leaves from the bling pieces that I used in the shaker. Then this turns over. We have a flap that opens up this way. So this is a photo mat in a tuck spot. Thanksgiving greetings. And it opens up more this way. Like that. Folds in. This one has a pocket. Inside the pocket I put, I used one of the Heartfelt Creations tags dies with the shimmer paper. And I matted it with the turkey dinner pumpkin pie. This is a scrap of paper. I made a little booklet. So you just fold your scraps in half and round the corners. You can do lots of fun things like that. Put a tag cut out here with some of the leaves and some of the bling. And then this opens up this way. Slide this over. Okay, then on the back side, we have the Happy Thanksgiving. We open this up, a couple of flaps going out this way and a mat here. This is a flap with a belly band, so this comes out. You can insert a photo there if you wanted to. Also a mat here on the back side with these belly bands. Just a different treatment to the page. Here I have left this as like a belly band where you can insert your photo into the mat here. This opens up like this. So just matted all the papers with the paper from the collection. And this side has another flip out with a mat in here. So I left this one pretty much just the paper. This has a pocket. I punched out of cardstock, craft cardstock. This from the tags, the Heartfelt tags die set that I bought from Country Craft Creations. Added some of the flowers, Prima flowers, and one of the tags here. And then this is a little booklet out of another scrap where I scallop punched the corners and added a tag. And this is a photo mat, and on the front side I put a cut apart, and the back side is a mat. So these all tuck in, and I also on the front of the pocket added one of the tags from the collection that you can fussy cut out. And there's the spaces in there for pictures. And then the last page, the back side, has this beautiful 4x6 cut apart that I trimmed down to fit. It says Thanksgiving greetings. This one folds down this way, and again here at the bottom with another mat right here. So you can see how it folds out and goes back in. And then all this folds this way into the album where you bring up the sides and then you just close the lid down over it. So that's my box mini for Thanksgiving using the Country Craft Creations Bountiful Blessings. Thanks everyone for watching, and it'll soon be the holidays, so I hope you have a great Thanksgiving here in the USA. Thanks. Bye-bye.